So our podcast is called Hacks and Flacks. It's a name we came up with. We tried to co-opt two terms that are often used to describe journalists and PR folks in a demeaning way. We tried to just kind of take it back and use it in a funny way. So the host of the show will be myself and Manny Vega, and it's going to be a bi-weekly show for now. Right now we're going to bring in probably one guest from outside of March every week, talk to them about how they work in the marketing space. It can be marketing, it can be PR, social media, sort of talk about media in general. It's kind of as I said on one of our first show, it's a Big Tent podcast. We want to be very inclusive. Manny and I are hoping that we have some nice chemistry that really comes through in the podcast. We worked together before. We kind of get each other. We play off each other well. So we're hoping that comes through in the podcast. For me, a lot of the conversations I hope to be having on these podcasts are ones that I'm already having with people anyway. So it's just kind of a chance for it's kind of. Everyone wants to be a star. Everyone wants to have their own sort of place where they can perform. So in a way, I'm benefiting from this as well. I get to kind of host and do it the way I've always wanted to do it. So I love the medium a lot. When I first got my iPhone, I had the purple app, the podcast app, and I immediately moved it to like my useless folder. I didn't want to deal with it at all. I was like, I have my schedule in the morning. I was reading in the morning on the bus and the train. I didn't feel like I needed something else to kind of disrupt that. And then about a year and a half ago or so, I just found out how much is out there. I plugged into a lot of the Grantland podcasts, like sports and pop culture. That's kind of my main focus is sports and pop culture. It's kind of just a chance for me to just decompress after work. But I certainly do listen to more, academic podcasts. There's Slate has a few good ones. Political Gabfest is one I like a lot. This Week in Tech is a good one. It's a weekly podcast. It's like 2 hours long. That one can take, just a couple commutes to get through. Podcasting started, 10 years ago. At the time, you can only listen to podcasts on an iPod, right? And since then, with iPhones and apps, anyone can really listen to a podcast through their phones. So it's a medium that anyone can really access, and you can really get a lot of attention just by having a podcast. Podcasts have gone through a lot of sort of starts and stops as to have they finally made it, right? I wrote a story for March back in September about how the podcast was finally going to blow up. And then a week later, Serial debuted, actually. I didn't know this was going to happen. I guess I just had sort of, I had a good sense of where the podcast medium, how it was going to develop. But so it was interesting to see all the stories come out after Serial. Like, what does this finally mean for podcasts? Are they finally going to take off? So the timing's interesting for us in that we're launching right now after this wave that developed after Serial. Again, we were planning to do podcasts for months before. Manny and I initially met during the summer to talk about what the plan would be, and it was 4 months of planning. So again, the timing is just really interesting how it all worked out.